Welcome to the U World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome to the U World Order Showcase podcast. Today we are speaking with Jocelyne Bilodeau, and she is a personal life coach. She empowers women to break free from limiting anxiety and people-pleasing tendencies, helping them to live life free from constant worry, regain control over their emotions and their thoughts, and develop the resilience to effectively respond and navigate life's challenges. That sounds really exciting, Jocelyne. Tell us, how did you get started in this?
How did I get started? I've been working 26 years. I've worked 26 years as a social worker in the social and service development field. And I was that people pleaser, right? They say that you attract the people that you were once before, right? So, and I am a healer at heart. I love people. Right. So for me to give of myself came so naturally and didn't realize I was giving too much. And then, I was then faced with moments of anxiety, not thinking that that's what it was. And my life and everything around me started deteriorating and I couldn't figure out why. Right. And like most people, you look outside of yourself to try and fix things. So I ended up on antidepressants. I was on an anti-anxiety. I lost myself. I was like, oh my God, like what's happening? And, thank goodness I found somebody, a life coach, hired a coach, and really, took a look at myself and what I was now creating. And then I got myself certified as a Reiki master and did all the different certifications and tools and used them on myself to release all this stuff that was really weighing me down. Like I used to walk around with my shoulders up like this because I was carrying it all there, right?
And you just like your shoulders are hurting and you suddenly realize it's because they're up around your ears.
Right? It's like, release that. Oh my God. So I just dived deep into it and I got different trainings and I just felt so good after. And I was actually releasing stuff from childhood that I didn't realize I was still carrying on with me. And then it was affecting my children and day to day. And then, just they would come home and I'd be barking at them or, getting mad. And it's like, hey, who is this person? So it was a lot of self-reflection. Even though I worked in the social work field, I lost those skills. It was so much easier to do it to somebody else or for somebody else. And then to apply it to self, it was like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? Right? So it was like a big eye opener for me.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's so easy to go through life, especially when you're doing stuff for other people and that's your job, is to be aware of them and their feelings, to just kind of like make yourself less because you're just so focused on them. So you were starting to tell me before we started recording that you were working with a certain kind of people as a social worker?
I worked mostly in the mental health,
Mhm.
dual diagnosis, behavior type of atmospheres. So I've worked in a very wide variety of different agencies, and I specialize with helping people change behavior. Right, and really adapt, and people who were losing control were now able to use techniques to calm themselves. by putting in place different strategies. So yes, a lot of that I've also brought into what I'm doing now as well. It kind of is like that umbrella that kind of everything fits together.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting how that works, where you just like your past experience, your past messes, they all like become part of your message, because you arrive to a point, it's just like, I feel good. I feel like I'm aligned with what I'm doing. And now let me turn around and help the people that are coming up behind me and see if we can't get them there faster. So I know you're using Reiki and hypnotherapy and NLP and a lot of different modalities, but can you walk us through how Reiki and hypnotherapy kind of go together? I honestly don't know that much about Reiki. Okay. I'm going to
Okay,
be upfront with you and honest. So if
that's
there are other listeners out there that are like,
yeah.
Reiki, isn't that weird stuff that those
The
people do?
woohoo, the woohoo.
Yeah, the woo-woo people.
Oh, wow. So Reiki is universal life force energy, right? We are all energy. We're energetic beings. So at the core of us, we have chakras.
Mhm.
And these are the spinning wheels that turn the energy right through down our body.
Mhm.
So when the energy is stuck, it's not flowing through. So then that can create emotional blocks. It can actually create physical pain in our body as well when the energy is not flowing through. So I call upon the Reiki energy and I'm the vessel. So through me, I channel this energy and I send it to you. I can send it now in the present. I can send it back in time, and I can send it to you in the future.
Mhm.
If you have, say, a medical appointment that's coming up that you need surgery, right? So Reiki knows no limits, no time. It is always 10 steps ahead of the practitioner. So I call upon this energy, send it to you, and it flows through your chakras, cleansing them and allowing the energy to move freely through and then out back into Mother Earth where it gets transmuted into positive energy. And I'm an intuitive Reiki master, so I receive guided messages as well. So as I'm doing the session, I will see pictures, I will get messages, even if a loved one has passed and has a special message for you, they will tell me. And then I can pass it on to the person. And it's all to help them heal.
Mhm.
Like I've received, pictures of things that I don't even understand what they meant. And I was like, what is that? So I just write it down. And when I told the person, they're like, oh my God, da, da, da. I'm like, oh, no wonder I saw that. Right. It all makes sense after. Right. And you're doing it at an unconscious level. You're just peacefully relaxing and everything's just releasing without even you have to be consciously aware of it.
I
And same
like
thing,
that.
yeah, it goes hands in
So
hand with hypno.
yeah, because does it work better if the person's under,
um,
I'm going to say under hypnosis,
I've
but loosely,
paired the
because
two. Yeah, I've paired the two
uh-huh,
because hypnosis is just a deep sense of relaxation,
yes.
right? And you're tapping into the unconscious mind. So when I do a Reiki session, the person is relaxed, yes. However, I'm not giving suggestions for any type of change.
Hmm.
Right? So when I pair the two, it's almost like a hypno Reiki synergy. They are sent into a very deep relaxation, and then I infuse it with Reiki. So as I'm talking, I'm sending the energy through the person as well, relaxing them even more. And then when I'm putting in the suggestions, it's revitalizing them, restoring their body to its blueprint of perfect health, to tap into the unconscious mind, because our unconscious mind has our blueprint of perfect health. And as we send energy, it rejuvenates them and then we'll replenish it. So it will release all the toxins and then it will connect with their unconscious mind to restore that blueprint of perfect health.
I bet your clients feel amazing when you're talking to them. I'm feeling amazing just listening to your voice, and it's
Thank
like,
you.
no, Jill, stay here, stay focused. I just want to like relax, and you have such a calm aura about you
Thank you.
and your voice is just like, it's just so nice.
I've put a few people to sleep where I've had to like, stop the recording. I'm like, wake up, like literally online because we weren't in person, right? And I have
Mhm.
to tell them, you have to wake up, please, for me, because it is so relaxing.
Yeah, it's some of those things. I do hypnotherapy on myself, probably like every night. It's how I go to sleep.
Yeah.
I have this ritual that I do, and I go to this place, and I can almost never get to the exact place that I'm going. I know where it is. I can see it, but I know that I fall asleep
Yep.
before I ever get there. But it but I know that it's going to happen every night. So I don't have to take pills. I don't have to do
Mhm.
anything. I just know how to go to sleep.
You've
Just
programmed your unconscious mind to take you there, right?
mhm.
And I do that too. I'm not necessarily with hypno. I do self hypno as well. But when I'm having that hard time falling asleep, I'll start a Reiki session on myself, and then it kind of like
Mhm.
alerts me, and I'm like, oh, like I've fallen asleep, not realizing that I've fallen asleep, and I kind of jolt. I'm like, oh, okay, no, go back to sleep because I haven't finished my session, right?
Yeah, yeah. The things that we can do if we just have the tools in our minds.
Right? Yeah, and I'm a firm believer of do the self first.
Mhm.
Everything that I do with people, right? It's a do with process, not a
Mhm.
do to or a do
Mhm.
for, right? We work together, and all the techniques that I use on my clients, I've done to myself or I've had done to me, right? So I can actually talk from experience, right? That it's actually works, or I can say, oh, I felt like that too, right? There's some personal intimacy to it when you're talking to people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think it helps them feel more secure
Yeah.
knowing that you understand what they're going through and that you've been in the same situation that they're in. And it just that part alone, I think gives, like I said, security and comfort. So
Mhm.
when you were talking about free events that you were holding, um, are they workshops? How does that look?
Yes, I do. So I'm sure that you have my link. I'm pretty sure you'll share that later. It's
Mhm.
my link tree. So on there, I post any events that I'll be doing as well as on my Facebook. So all of my ways to reach me are in there. So yes, I do once a month or every 2 weeks host a variety of different workshops. So I do have
Mhm.
one coming up very soon. However, I don't know if this is going to be aired in time, but that's okay. I have another one 2 weeks after that, and it's all around anxiety and people pleasing, and really diving deep into the root causes of why people or why that particular person is doing it. So it's very interactive. I ask some questions so people can actually get a feel for what it would be like to work with me in a sense.
Mhm.
And I give them tools, right? So they'll be equipped with some little tools that can actually help them in the next few days after the workshops. So it's calming techniques, or I'll be doing a free workshop on boundaries, which is very huge for people who are having a hard time with people pleasing, right? A lot of my clients are like, oh, what's boundaries?
I know,
They've
it's
never
like
heard of it.
it's such an important thing that and it's only now really coming out where people are becoming aware of there's such a thing as boundaries, and we
Right?
can have them in our life, and it'll make our life better.
Right? And I think too, it's like, the generation, right? When I grew up, it was like, oh, go help them, go help them. Well, how do you think they're going to feel? And it's like, I understand how they're going to feel, but I don't want to negate or dismiss how I feel either, right? Giving 100% of yourself and not leaving anything for you is not good or healthy either.
Right. And that was really common when I was young also. You were like, if you thought about yourself, you're being selfish.
Right?
It's
Right.
like,
Be the good girl. Be the good girl. And they pass you off, right?
yeah, or go hug this person. Well, maybe I don't want to hug that person. Maybe I get creeped out by that person. I don't know that person, and I don't want them touching me.
Right? Yeah, and
And
that was huge with my kids, during my transformation and, becoming aware is what I call it, right? Like I don't have the blinders on anymore. Like I'm open and I'm aware and I can see what's going on. And, even with my children and my parents will say stuff to them, and I say like, she is 11. Like if you do say something that's going to upset her, she is going to voice her opinion as well. She is a little person, right? And I've taught them to do it respectfully. You're allowed to say, hey, that hurt my feelings, and be okay with that. And if that person gets upset, well, that's on them, right?
right,
And it's equipping them with these tools at a young age, right? That they don't end up an adult and then, be struggling with all these things too.
right, because they just don't know how to form their own boundaries, and they don't know how to enforce their boundaries. And
Hmm.
and that's a skill that we really need to teach our kids, because not having boundaries makes it really difficult for people to have a relationship with you,
It does.
because
It does.
generally you won't even respect their boundaries if they have them. And so you don't really know how to interact with them in a way that's comfortable for both of you.
Yeah,
It's just, it's such a huge thing right
it
now.
is. It is
And
huge. And then I like to tell my children too, you teach people how to treat you by what you allow, right? If you allow this, then they're going to, okay, if she allows this, maybe I'll push the boundary a little bit and try a little bit more, right? If you allow your friends to just kind of push you around a little bit, the next step's a, a punch or it escalates, right?
mhm,
So, and that's huge. Even with my children, I tell them that all the time. Do you like that? If you don't like it, it's okay for you to say so. And it doesn't
mhm,
matter if the person, say, is an adult on the other end.
yeah,
They still have to respect you.
yes.
Hmm.
And they need to have their own boundaries, which they
Yeah.
probably don't have if
No,
they're not
right?
respecting yours. They don't understand
No,
the principle,
no, no, right?
which makes me really excited when I talk to coaches who are actually out there talking to people about creating boundaries and helping. I really think that that's going to be key to changing the way people interact with each other around the world, because you just do one little change here, and that little change hits a bunch of other people, and then it just keeps going out and out and out. And we're back after a
Yeah.
short intermission where Jocelyne had to like rein in her computer that was trying to like rule her life.
Right. Gotta clear that energy around my computer. My
Yeah,
goodness. I get my big
just
wand
saying.
around here. Clear that energy. Woo! There.
Oh, I'm so glad you're back.
Me too. My goodness.
Yeah, stuff happens with technology.
Oh, it does. It does. I always tell people I'm working on my relationship with technology, right? It's all in the language that we use when we're talking about things. And it's reframing that, right? And even with
Mhm.
my children, it's like, like my son, especially because he's on the spectrum, it's like, oh, I made a mistake. I hate, I'm dumb or I'm stupid or, and it's like, I'm learning, what did we learn today? And even with adults, and coming away from, I made that stupid mistake. Cancel, cancel, cancel. Like, no mistakes here, right? It's what are we learning? What did we learn from it? And taking that approach too, it brings a different understanding to what you're actually dealing with.
Yes, it really does. It's just reframing how you think about things, and you get the choice to pick how you're
Yes,
going to react to any situation or any
yes.
thought you have.
Right. And I find too, like with the kids too, like, yay, human. I, get upset once in a while, like everybody else, right? Just because I'm a coach doesn't mean I'm like, oh, cookie cutter, perfect, right?
Well,
But
if
my
you've got that recipe, I'd like to know it.
right, right. My daughter will say, oh, I'm so sorry for making you mad. And I say, sorry, honey, no, mommy chose to be mad. maybe what you did wasn't necessarily, pleasing, but it's my choice how I react. I chose to get mad. It's not on you, honey. Right. And it detaches that feeling of, that it's their fault. Right. I'm taking it back. I'm owning it. No, it's not your fault. Right. I chose to act like that.
Yeah.
Mm,
And,
mm.
they may have chosen to do something that wasn't along the lines of what you accept in your household or your home or whatever, but it doesn't mean that, or maybe they crossed your boundaries,
Right.
and that happens,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean that they have to be responsible for your reaction to that. And I think that's another thing that is really important, is an important message to get out into the world, that we're all responsible for ourselves, how we feel, how we think, the decisions we make, and ultimately the lives we live are based on the choices that we choose to make,
Yeah.
not what other people are doing to us. Because
Yeah.
really, they're just doing stuff to themselves. We're just in the proximity.
Right. Right.
And
And you have the
sometimes,
right to change your mind, right?
yeah,
So, it's all about choices, right? And we're here to have an experience. So why not,
yeah,
learn, have
choose
those
to have the
learnings.
best one.
Right? Love it. Love it.
Yeah, it's really a lot of just taking responsibility, but wanting to have the very best experience and allowing other people to have the very best experience too, and reframing things that didn't work for you. I mean, you can go around having a bad thought about someone or something or some event, and it could really bring you down and make you depressed and anxious, and then you're like scrambling to please the people around you, to try to get them to like you because you're not liking yourself, which is a lot of that. Um, and and sometimes if you could just reframe it to like, this was an experience I had, and let me think of one good thing that came out of it. It might have been a negative experience, but if you can just find one positive thing from it, it changes your whole outlook about the experience overall.
For sure, for sure. And it doesn't add that negative emotions to it, right? Because we have all these experiences in our lives that do have a negative emotion to it. We don't need to add more to it, right? So, like you said, reframing it gives you a totally different feeling about it. And you're
Mhm.
not so upset when you think about those things after.
Right, right.
Mhm.
And when we have those negative thoughts, all thoughts create chemicals in our body and a chemical response. And, if you're continually having these negative thoughts and dwelling on things that are negative, they cause dis-ease in your body. You start having pain and you start getting sick, and you
Yeah.
can get really sick because organs get affected. And it's interesting how connected what you think about and what your body is doing
Yeah.
is.
It's huge. It's huge. Even not even allow when you're not allowing yourself to express emotion,
Mhm.
like we only know what we know, right? And even growing up, my parents would be, be the good girl. No, no, don't cry, right? But when you learn to not cry, you eat your emotions, right? So my body was literally eating itself from the inside out. I had intestinal ulcers
Mhm.
from not expressing myself, not being allowed to cry, not being allowed to show emotion, right? So my body was like, where is it going to go? Right? Our bodies suck in this emotion. So my body started to deteriorate from the inside out. And not knowing what I know now, when I went to the doctor, he literally said, it's all in your head. Well, that made me mad. Obviously, nobody wants to hear that it's all in your head, but it kind of was.
Yeah.
Right? I was thinking all these bad things and I wasn't allowed to share my emotions. I couldn't speak. I couldn't, right? And it just went down. right? So now knowing, yeah, he was right, you know, right? I don't have ulcers now, right? But that it was that releasing and really, coming to terms with, I did create that, right? And learning, and now I do release. So if I have to cry, and I'm say even if I'm on a phone call, I deal with the school all the time with my kids. It can be emotional. It can strike a chord. It's my kid. It's my babies, right?
Mhm.
And I'll be on the phone. I'm like, I'm getting upset, and I'll tell the person, just give me one moment, you know. But that's okay.
Mhm.
You're human, And if a tear comes down, I'm okay. Yes, let's keep going. But it's just showing and modeling to other people, wow, man, she's pretty vulnerable. She can, speak out about how she's feeling, and it gives
Yeah.
other people permission to do it.
Yeah, and that's a lot of it is allowing permission and space for people to feel their emotions.
Mhm.
And sometimes you do get mad, and you need to have a space for that
Yeah,
too. I mean, it's
yeah,
just part of being alive, that when you can't express your emotions and we don't have the tools to share what we're feeling with others in a way that doesn't diminish them
yeah,
but empowers you,
yeah.
it's really important.
That is huge. It is huge. And those are the practices I take with my children now too. Right. And just seeing their shift too, because they'll look at me and like, oh, you're not mad, because they're expecting, right, a reaction that they got, say, like 2.5 years ago, before I released all this stuff and before I started on my own transformation journey.
Mhm.
Right. So they're learning my new responses, right? They're learning my new boundaries. So it's like changing the rules to a game, right? People kind of go like, what's going on? And then they kind of adapt to it, right? So we're in that adaptation stage. They're kind of learning, oh, mom's not doing that now. Okay, mom's doing this. Okay, and they're appreciating that, right? Because they're learning and they're now, I say, I'm like cutting the generational cords, right? Those generational rules and stigmas that get passed down generation after generation, right? I'm breaking those down for them now so that it's not weighing so heavy on them when they become adults.
Yeah, and they're going to have relationships with their friends,
Yeah,
and their friends are going to learn these techniques. And it
yeah,
just the ripple effect that really does make the world a better place, one person at a time. But one person connects to, another person who connects to two more people and four, and
yeah.
then it doesn't take very many
Nope.
iterations before it's gone all the way around the world.
No, it's so
9
true.
billion's a lot of people, but
Yeah,
we're all connected. I truly believe there's an energy that runs through all of us. It
it's
is
so
what holds the world together.
it is so true. It is so true. Because usually, like, with every like, because I do a lot of trainings with a lot of people, right? And you become friends after. And
Mhm.
when one of us is feeling like, okay, like what's going on, it's usually someone in our bubble is feeling off too. And then we talk
Mhm.
about it and we're like, oh, okay, like, yeah, I can feel that, right? And because we are all energy, right? What
Mhm.
we're feeling on one end, somebody can be feeling on the other, right? And even when I do Reiki sessions, if someone has a lot to release, like I'll start to cry and they'll be crying like, across the world and I'm crying, right? But it's because we're connected,
Mhm.
right? Hmm.
And it's the whole thing, like it's science. It
Like,
sounds woo, but it's really science,
yeah,
because you can look at an electron or a particle, and it behaves differently when you're looking at it and when you're not looking at it. And it exists here, but it also exists across the
yeah,
world. It
yeah.
it exists in two places at one time, and it's connected. And we are all part of that. Everything about us, everything in our environment, everything that is
Hmm.
exists because of this energy and the way energy is.
Yeah.
It it's
There's universal laws, right?
yeah.
That's something else I bring into my coaching too, right? Because a lot of people aren't aware of the universal laws, right?
Mhm.
And when you work with them, it kind of brings balance to your life as well.
Mhm. Yep.
Hmm.
That
That
is
is so
so
cool.
powerful.
That is so powerful. Yeah, it's so cool.
All
Uh,
right, Jocelyne, what's the one thing you want to leave our audience with that you hope they take away from this conversation today?
Just that you're not alone in this journey, right? We are all here to learn, to have an experience. And, if you are feeling anxious or, not sure what to do, there are people here that, can help and support you, right? I'm not saying I'm going to do it for anybody, right? But I will definitely help and guide you, right? I love to connect with people, and I can see how much strength people have, right? And it's just empowering. And it's just when they start shining their light and moving forward and actually letting go of those things, like their whole personality changes. Like you see the light just shine through them, right? And it's like, you don't have to stay there, right? You do have a choice, right? And if it's not me and you want to talk, and if I can't help you, I know people that can, right? I'm not for everybody, and I don't want to be, right? Because that'd be exhausting. Right? And I'm okay with that. I couldn't have said that 2 years ago. No, I'll help you, right? But if we don't connect, that's okay. I have other people that can probably help you, right?
I do get help.
Yeah, I do get help. Like, just reach out, right? Join me on Facebook. Come to my freebies, right? You can watch me in the behind the scenes. A lot of people take a little bit of time to come out of their shell, and that's okay, right?
Yeah. And some of these modalities are kind of new for a lot of people, and it takes a minute to wrap your head around what's happening and to really appreciate the value of these experiences and these modalities that are becoming more freely available than they've ever been before. But man, they're powerful.
They are.
How do people get in touch with you?
Well, they can reach me on my website at beboldauthenticallyu.com. My email as well, it's Jocelyne at beboldauthenticallyu. I have my Facebook group as well. It's just under my name. You can reach me on my own personal page. I do post a lot there too as well. And I offer a free consult as well. So it's a half an hour. I get to know you, and just to see where you're at and to feel out where, if I can help, right? And if we are a good fit, right? Because like I said, we're not not everybody's a fit for everybody, right? So yeah, come see me on social media, come play in my world, and we can connect.
Thanks so much for joining us today.
No problem. Thank you for having me. This was awesome, except for my little disappearing act, but it's all good.
You came back?
I came back, yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the You World Order, or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.